Dom here from Essential RC. Thanks for tuning in for another flight test. I've got here JJRC's latest micro RC helicopter sent to me by my friends at Banggood. Let's have a look in the box and see what you get. Okay, in the box we have the manuals. We've got one Chinese, one English. Take the plastic cover off. And we've got the helicopter. It's like a Black Hawk helicopter, really, isn't it? Okay, the battery goes in underneath, and you've got two catches on the battery. Pull them out to make sure they're engaged with the fuselage. You've got an on-off switch there as well. Sensor is underneath, which is good to see that it's got one of those optical flow sensor. To help it maintain height. Gear isn't sprung, it's pretty fixed plastic. That side we've got spare blades, another battery, USB cable for charging the battery, screwdriver should we need it, and spare blades if I didn't mention those already. And then we've got the controller, normal sticks, trims, emergency stop, stabilized and 3D mode, automatic takeoff and landing, and 3 different speeds. I think, not sure what that is, I will look that up. But so this needs 4 AA's, and then I will charge up the 2 batteries with the provided USB cable, and let's get it flying. All right, so switch on the radio transmitter. Lights are flashing because it's waiting to bind to the helicopter. Incidentally, the switch down here is to turn off optical flow, which is really useful because if it were on and I flew over this table, it would see that as a change in height and it would try and climb. So we may want to turn that off if we're flying indoors. Now, to turn on the battery in the helicopter, you hold down the button here until the lights come up, release, and then hold it down, and then hold it down like that. Light is flashing underneath, and on the radio transmitter we go down, up, down. Stops flashing on here and the helicopter underneath, so we're ready to fly. Space out the blades like that. And I think we can do sticks down into the outside, or we could take off using the auto takeoff, but I'll do it manually. See how that goes. Here we go. All right, steady. First flight, so, but I have to say that is holding without any drift really nicely. Forwards and backwards. Side to side. Nice. Right, that was an amazing takeoff, but it was my first takeoff, so let's try that again. Here we go. Bit of a left stick up. That's better, isn't it? Gently on the stick. And we're in the lowest speed mode. Which is probably good for indoors. Wow. And I have to say, it doesn't need any trimming. That is out of the box. It's flying like that. Super steady. Oh, losing a little bit of height. Let's try that button there. That is off now. Ah, that's interesting. It's drifting now. Now, the other thing with optical flow is it does pattern recognition on the ground, and it will lock over that position that it sees. And it's not doing that now, whereas if I turn that back on, it is snapped back into optical flow on. That is pretty good. That is pretty impressive. So even indoors, I would say optical flow is a good thing to use. Now let's go over this table and see if it climbs. So forwards. Yeah, it climbed a little bit, but not a lot. But you know that the thing that I noticed, this is so easy to fly. And it just gives you that confidence straight away. And I'm flying in quite a small space. So this is perfect for indoors. Even backwards flight. Do you know what? I get these helicopters like this, and I sometimes think this is a bit at the toy end of the spectrum. Toy grade rather than the hobby grade, but this flies brilliantly. Just for flying around abouts indoors. Right, it's beeping at me now. I've been flying quite a while, so let's land. Accurate landing, not bad. There we go. So, in summary, I was pretty impressed by that. I'm not easily impressed by these little scale micro helicopters. Some of them have been truly terrible, but this one is definitely the best so far, especially its stability. You know, fingers off the sticks and you've got optical flow turned on. It uses that image pattern recognition that it sees under the sensor to stay in exactly the right position. Even in my living room here, where there's not a really good pattern on the floor, and it still was able to hover in the same position. Turned it off and it did drift, and I would expect it to do that, and then you would rely on using the trims. But even with a helicopter, you're not going to trim it out to be staying exactly hovering in exactly the same position. Now, I was flying it on the lowest speed mode, which was comfortable indoors. I go outdoors, then I would probably want to use the highest of the 3 speed modes to counter any, you know, any wind or a breeze outdoors. It certainly wouldn't be good in high wind, but in a moderate to low wind, it might be quite flyable outside, but mainly for indoors, I suspect, and really good to have as an option on a horrible rainy day like it's been today. The link for this is in the video description and the pinned comment. Look it up for the price. Thanks for watching. If you're not a subscriber, then please click that button now. Otherwise, we'll see you for the next one. Bye. fantastic.